Yep, senator, so I can turn it off now. Okay, so.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. We're in the work voting session. We're going to work on some tax bills right now. The first step in preparing the entire package is going to be amending some of our bills so that they include two of the bills that were part of the House package that we didn't have, and bringing that into our bills so that we at least have the same content as the House does. Okay? All right. Matt?
All right, so I think the easiest way is we'll start with Senate Bill 488. Senate Bill 488 is the sales and use tax bill for medical devices. It's a sales and use tax exemption. We went over it. It would exempt medical or clinical thermometers, pulse oximeters, and blood pressure monitors. And I think the committee already considered this, but the House had amended the bill, their version of the bill, to include N95 masks and certain filtering face piece respirators. And so now the committee is reconsidering Senate Bill 488 because the House also sent over another bill, House Bill 1151, which you heard yesterday. House Bill 1151 would also add to the list of sales exempt products, diabetic care products. And so you didn't have a cross-file for House Bill 1151, and this seemed like a good vehicle to include diabetic care products in Senate Bill 488. So if you want to consider it, Senate Bill 488 as amended to include face masks and respirators and diabetic care products.
Okay, is there a motion?
I move favorable on Senate Bill 488 as amended to include what he just said.
All right, all those in favor? Opposed? Okay.
And then to be consistent with the House bills, I think you would want to move favorable on House Bill 1151, which is the sales and use tax exemption for diabetic care products.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor? Opposed?
And sticking with that consistency, I think you'd want to move favorable on House Bill 364, which is the sales and use tax for medical devices.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor? Opposed?
All right, so now we will move on to the next trifecta here.
We just have a ballpark figure on what all that
Yes.
amounts to,
I can give you a
cost-wise.
ballpark. The diabetic care products, which some of these should be exempt because some of them are medical equipment already, but I think there was some confusion with what's exempt and what isn't. The diabetic products is going to be about $2 million a year.
Because I had a bill in 1995 that would have insurance cover for diabetes equipment and supplies. And that would be syringes, other kinds of equipment. Thank you.
And then the medical devices and those products, for that one, we're looking at a price tag of about $4.5 million. Maybe 5 when you include the face mask. 5 million when you include the face masks.
Yes.
All right, so the next 3 bills I think we want to consider would be Senate Bill 316 and House Bill 282 and House Bill 288. And we will start with the Senate bill. Senate Bill 316 is the sales and use tax exemption for diapers. And remember, the adult diapers are already exempt. This is just children's diapers that we're talking about. The committee already considered this bill, and you moved favorable already on it, but as with the other bill, there's a related house sales and use tax exemption that it would make sense to amend into this bill, and that would be House Bill 288. House Bill 288 is a sales and use tax exemption for baby products, and this bill would exempt baby bottles or baby bottle nipples and infant car seats from the sales and use tax exemption. And so the amendment to Senate Bill 316 would simply roll House Bill 288 into Senate Bill 316.
Second.
Yes, it's an exemption to exclude the car seats from the sales and use tax.
All those in favor?
And nicotine?
How much is that one, Matt?
This one is, the car seats and the baby bottles are gonna be 2.5 million, and the diapers are gonna be 7.5 million. What's that? That's existing law. We currently have an exemption for nicotine cessation devices. It's in the, well, it's a whole list of medical products, and that fell into that category. All right, so you would want to move favorable with amendments on Senate Bill 316.
So moved.
All those in favor? Opposed?
And then to be consistent with the House bills, you would want to move favorable on House Bill 282.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Opposed?
And again, you would want to move favorable on House Bill 288.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
So we have two more sets of bills to do here. The next set will be Senate Bill 571 and House Bill 492. These bills are a sales and use tax exemption for oral hygiene products.
Kathy will be so happy.
There are no, shouldn't be any amendments to these. And the cost is 5.5 million for the oral hygiene products. And you can move favorable on Senate Bill 571 and House Bill 492.
So moved.
Favorable.
All those in favor? Okay, that was on both bills. Very efficient here.
And the final two bills are House Bill 2 and Senate Bill 598. The committee already considered Senate Bill 598. Both bills are in the same posture. This would create a work opportunity tax credit here in Maryland that piggybacks off the federal work opportunity tax credit. If you'll recall, it was amended to be 50% of the federal credit, which brought the fiscal note down by half. And so I believe you have already voted on Senate Bill 598 with amendments. So you would just need to move favorable on House Bill 2, which is currently in the same posture as Senate Bill 598.
Move favorable.
Second.
All those in favor? Opposed?
This one would be a little bit less than 40 million.
I do too.
Yeah,
And
the next one's gonna be more.
But we're cutting taxes, so.
We are cutting, these are all tax cuts.
Are we doing the electricity one for the farm?
We'll deal with that later in the week. We'll bring it up, absolutely.
Right. And tell me again what Senate Bill 571, the cost on that was, sorry. They were jumping into the bay when I got back
It
home.
was the oral hygiene products
Yeah.
is gonna cost about 5.5 million.
Thank you.
You ready, Philip?
Chairman.
Thank you. Here's the one that was the real work. Philip, you ready?
Sure.
He says confidently.
And enthusiastic.
Senate Bill 405. This was an administration bill dealing with tax relief for individuals 65 and over. There is, I believe, been some discussions about a different approach as to what was introduced. I do not have a reprint currently to offer you, but in describing, the concept would be to, instead of doing a subtraction modification, to allow a credit against the state income tax. The credit would be in the amount of, for an individual filer whose gross income does not exceed 100,000, credit of 1,000. For spouses filing a joint return, surviving spouse or head of household whose income does not exceed 150,000, $1,750. On a joint return, that would be if both spouses are 65 or older. If only one of the individuals filing the joint return is 65 or older, then the credit amount would be 1,000, but the income threshold would still be at that 150,000 level. And then credit would not be refundable. And there's also, I believe, interest in having a provision similar to what you all had with the blueprint funding, where if there's a dip in the revenue estimates, that there'd be kind of a pause in the program. So I have included a provision that would be if the September revenue estimate is more than 7.5% below the March general fund estimate, for those reports issued in, I guess it would be in the taxable year. So if we're talking about tax year 22, we'd be talking about the difference between the March 22 and September 22
It'll be fine.
Yeah.
estimates. That 22 tax filing would be done.
Just so you recall, in the blueprint when we did this, the revenue shortfall or the difference had to be 7.5%. So we're talking about pretty extreme cases. As you may recall, even during the pandemic, we never hit below never hit up to 7.5% reduction in revenues from, in that instance, was from the March estimate to the December estimate. I think Philip's trying to pick up, the timing is different because this is a tax issue as opposed to a funding issue, and so it's a little more complicated, and that's why he's changing the till September to make the.
Right, and so the issue is, with blueprint, if you're going, difference between March and December, you're talking about something that doesn't really start till the following July. With taxes, if you're talking March to December, that gives the comptroller's office about a month to figure out for the tax filing season that starts in that subsequent January. So I think if you do March, September, it gives about, a 3-month buffer to make that determination. So I guess it would be the revenue estimates issued during that tax year where the credit would be applicable to.
So also just in framework, again, when this came in as a subtraction modification, has its advantages and disadvantages. The biggest disadvantage is that because as a subtraction modification, it will affect the piggyback returns for the counties, and it would have cost hundreds of millions of dollars. That presumably, I would imagine they would have been knocking on all our doors to recoup somehow. So this is much cleaner in our ability to provide relief without busting someone else's bank, all the local governments. It is.
Go up there and retire in the mountains.
You wanted to be sure it was ongoing.
So for individual For an individual, it's a $1,000 credit.
No, I meant the
Overall cost, do we have that chart? Do we have a
Overall cost to the state, in fiscal '23.
Yeah, just
at
20.
At $1,017.50, it's gonna be probably in the 300 million range, probably a little bit less.
Okay. What's that? If you'd like, sure.
I'd like, yeah.
Okay. Would people like to co-sponsor? Everybody like to co-sponsor, raise your hand.
Is that all B&T?
Looks like everybody.
And then, I don't know if I was clear, so the issue with that cutoff, the credit would be reduced to half.
Yeah, right,
If that trigger happens.
right,
At the circuit breaker.
yeah. Okay. So if you do the math, you'll see it's pretty close to the 350 I put in as a placeholder. Okay. Senator. Okay. Any questions? Is there, yes?
The hometown heroes.
We've already passed that. It's
income
on a
tax. We
separate,
passed that
it's on a
with
separate
the
calendar
property
with
tax.
10 bills, and all of that's
Right.
in, we'll move forward also.
Okay, that's what I wondered, thank you.
And that total was about $9 million.
Got it, thank you.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, yeah, it'd be hard to find an opposition when you just signed on to it. Okay. Talk among yourself for a minute. Okay, so we're in good shape. Conference, we should probably be meeting in the afternoon on Monday. That's the plan right now. And I think that's about it. Anybody have any questions for me? On Monday, late afternoon.
Late
Okay. All right. Have a great weekend.
afternoon.
Good work, everybody.